So let's add one more helper function, which might make our life a little bit easier as time goes on. So I'm back in the API project, the Go back end, in the file helpers.go, which is in CMD API. And I'm going to scroll to the bottom of this file and add a new function, a func with a receiver of app pointer to application, just as always. And I'll call this one error.json, and it will produce and send back an error response. And what I'm going to require would be the response writer. What are we writing to? The error that I want to write of type error, and status, which will again be variadic. I can specify it or not. If it's specified, I'll use it, and if it's not specified, I won't. Which means I should generate a default status code. So my default status code will be assigned the value of http.status_bad_request, which is a pretty common one, and a good one to use as a default. And I will check to see if the length of status is greater than 0, then I'm overwriting that default one. So instead, status code is now equal to status at index 0. So now I have a means of specifying a specific status code. So now I'll need some JSON to send back, so I'll create a variable, say var payload, of type JSON response. And I'll set its fields. Payload.error is equal to true. And payload.message is going to be equal to the error I'm sending, .error, and that will get me the string value that I need. Okay? And I would just write that out. And all I have to do is call the helper function that writes JSON. app.writeJSON, and I'm writing W and the status code and the data, which will be payload. And that should be all I have to do. Now, we're not using that right now, but we'll be using it as time goes on. Okay, let's move on to authentication.